Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. I have been doing all professions in World of Warcraft Dragonflight, so I now have a pretty wide perspective on the new profession system. So it was really interesting to see a Blizzard developer write a lengthy forum post last week about the crafting order part of the profession system. So in this video, I'm going to take a look at what Drow exactly wrote about the crafting order system and reflect on these thoughts and ideas a little bit. So let's take a look at what he wrote. To speak a bit to the original question of this thread, are the devs sure that the crafting order system is a success? The crafting order system is by no means perfect. There are many ways we would like to improve it over time. We have been having many of these discussions internally, as well as listening to feedback from all of you. Since this is such a new system though, we don't want to make any snap judgments and make big changes before giving things a chance to settle and seeing how it develops over time. We do believe that the system has been successful in one of its core goals though, to enable crafters to make soul-bound, useful gear for players at all levels of play. This elevates the overall value of professions within the game and helps to deliver on the fantasy of being a crafter, creating valuables for yourself and others. It has also been successful in providing a new way for crafters and customers to interact, one which is inherently more social, and when you get used to it, hopefully more satisfying than the previous ways to do so, but again, very much not perfect. So, one of the core goals of the system, to enable crafters to make soul-bound useful gear for players at all levels of play and to deliver on the fantasy of being a crafter, and I applaud these design goals. Those are some great design goals, and indeed the current system is more successful in doing this than any system World of Warcraft previously. My background in crafting in MMOs is from Ultima Online. As a crafter in Ultima Online, I did all crafting that was possible in Ultima Online: potions, runes, rune books. I even ran a rune library. Just everything possible in that game. And in that game, you had characters who could be just crafters, because you had complete freedom in choosing the skills that you take for a character, but you had an overall cap. So then you had a character who didn't have any adventuring qualities whatsoever. That was really the fantasy of being a crafter. And World of Warcraft was never able to reach that. I started World of Warcraft when it came out, and back in vanilla I was trying to do a lot of crafting, but there really wasn't much crafting to be done, not much meaningful crafting anyway. And this system has certainly made it possible to actually craft soulbound gear for players who are leveling, for players who have reached 70, even for players who are in the mythic raiding. And this has accomplished it in a way also that you don't have to do mythic raids in order to do mythic raiding gear. Which just, it's kind of nonsense, like you don't send an engineer to the front line, you know? They're behind. They're working on their stuff while the adventurers go ahead and do adventuring. And this system is the closest that World of Warcraft has gotten to that, and that is great. However, there are also things still to improve, so let's take a look at what Drow continued with. As far as the public order system goes, it seems to be working well as an easy way to get something crafted for yourself if you aren't worried about getting the best quality and want it quickly. This was always its intent. We definitely wish that as crafters, it was easier to find public orders to fill. Unfortunately, even though there are quite a few public orders going through the system, given the minimal effort it takes to fulfill a public order and the relative number of crafters around to fill those orders, there will almost never be many orders up at any given time with the way it currently works. They get filled too quickly and easily. We are looking into ways to have more orders to fulfill though, because for most, we think it tends to be a pretty satisfying activity and a great way to earn skill and a bit of gold when you can find an order to fulfill. And consequently, after this was released, in the PTR, public crafting orders are now capped to 4 per day, and you can't store them. Right now you get 5 per day, and you can store up to 20, but there it's 4 per day. And this I think is a complete miss. Like, the customer, who's the customer here? The customer is someone who gets something crafted, aren't worried about getting the best quality and want it quickly. And that sort of customer just does not really exist. Some people are trying to use the public order system also, like putting in notes that, hey, can you please take this only if you have great skill? But yeah, anyone can still take them. And it's easy to even miss that note. So that that system just doesn't really do what it's supposed to. And now they're trying to fix it by making it worse, by making it so that even when there are orders, you can't really fill them. I'm doing all professions, and there are some professions like engineer, for example, where I have never seen a single public order on my server. I saw one public order on blacksmithing so far, and I have done some jewel crafting orders, I've done a couple of tailoring orders, but the most that I have done have been draconic treatises, because I have a resourcefulness spec scribe, so that I can just churn out draconic treatises and get some essences while I'm at it. Okay, but that system kind of works for those. But now they're making it much worse for those, and it still won't be good for equipment. So this is not going to be great. With treatises, I have actually run out of available orders that I can do. I mean, my order quota. I have 20, and then I do them all, and then I have 0. With none of the other professions, it has ever been anywhere close. So they're just making these sorts of bulk goods that can be ordered for very few professions. They're making the system worse for those, and those are really... You don't have to care about quality because there's only single quality available. For everything else, people do care about quality. The customer who doesn't care about quality at all just doesn't exist. So this public system doesn't serve anybody, because the customer that they have somehow imagined in their heads just does not play this game. There would be a lot more that they could do with the public order system, and one of the main things that they should do is to allow specified minimum quality. You can do that with guild orders and with personal orders. You can already do that. And there's even a quest in the game where you convince a customer to start sending personal orders because, hey, did you know, then you can specify quality. Why didn't you say, oh, that's a feature I really want? Yes, that's a feature that every single customer really wants. So not having the feature available for public orders is total nonsense. And that is the worst part about the public order system. But there is still a bit more to this, so let's take a look at Blizzard's words. We also think the guild personal order side of things are working moderately well. These methods allow players to connect and get their items crafted with more control. There are several issues we would very much like to improve though, including helping better connect customers and crafters. There is nothing wrong with a bit of effort to get the best gear or to attract customers. This is currently mostly accomplished through trade chat though, which while it does have a nice social component to it, something we love to see more of, it is by no means an ideal way to find a crafter for a specific item or a customer to craft for. Helping better support the interactions between players who are depending on inspiration to reach a higher quality level. We suspect that as players finish getting their high-end crafting gear and complete purchase of other one-time uses for Arden's Metal, players will be more willing to use Arden's Metal to guarantee higher quality crafts. That will help, but even then, inspiration will always be a useful way to get max quality gear crafted. The crafting order system is not supporting this as well as we would like it to, since as a customer, you cannot place an order and know exactly what you will get. You need to rely on a handshake deal that your crafter has the inspiration they promised when attempting to craft items for you. In addition, there will be lots of other quality of life features we'll be looking into to help making it smoother to use, easier to learn, and more. As always, thank you for the feedback. We'll continue working to improve professions in general and the crafting order system in specific. Meanwhile, happy gathering and crafting. Well, this really gets into the key problem. One of the key problems with the whole crafting redesign is inspiration, because inspiration is so hugely important. And also, these thoughts that players will start to use artisan metal to guarantee higher quality crafts. Okay, players sometimes do that already. It happens. But usually, when you use metal, you will also use higher quality reagents. And higher quality reagents are much more expensive than lower quality reagents. So it's still better to gamble. Most of the time, it's just better to gamble. That's the real problem. It's better to gamble on inspiration than to do something that is guaranteed the vast majority of time. And that's bloody nonsense. You have crafters who don't know if they can do what you want them to do. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. Okay, I have 40% inspiration, sometimes it still takes me 30 attempts to do it. Yeah. the whole inspiration thing, and inspiration will always be a useful way. So Blizzard seems very happy with this RNG component of crafting, which is kind of like the opposite of what every single crafter who has ever wanted to play a crafting game has wanted to do. So yeah, that is a problem. And instead of fixing the base problem with inspiration, they want to help better support interactions between players who are depending on inspiration to reach a higher quality level. So there's like a fundamental problem with the crafting system, and they are trying to solve completely irrelevant things that are only problems because of this fundamental flaw. And that's tough. Okay, I still take this as an improvement over their old systems, because the old crafting in World of Warcraft was bad. It was just bad. You could not play the fantasy of being a crafter. Now you can, but it's super complicated. Then there's lots of stuff like there's the hidden skill bonus. If you're very close to the next rank, you sometimes get that next rank. Then there's the way the reagents work. If you recraft multiple times using R2 reagents, you will eventually get the same bonus as if you were using R3 reagents, and then you will just float back and forth between 80% and 100% of that bonus. There's a lot of hidden stuff that people are just slowly starting to realize, and that customers really shouldn't have to worry about. But that's also customers' worry, because crafter will have to recraft and recraft multiple times in order to get them the result they want. So yeah, that's pretty tough. Helping better connect customers and crafters, I would really welcome this, because right now the people who have the most time to just bank sit in the trade chat in the city, they are the ones who are able to get things done in this system, whereas others much less so. So yeah, there are multiple issues with the new crafting systems in World of Warcraft Dragonflight. The inspiration, the public orders, the trade chat dependence still. And it doesn't look like Blizzard is that willing to actually solve the key issues within. But overall, I can still live with this system, because this is still a better system than any other system that World of Warcraft has had, but not a better system than other games have had. So WoW is still coming behind. But crafting in WoW, overall, it's somewhat better than it has ever been before. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.